Clickety click. Okay, well nobody's watching, so happy anniversary. It's not my anniversary yet. I'll be back in 1 second. Probably a good point to start this live, the rare live that we like to share with the one of you that are watching right now. Hello everyone. Let me get in the center frame here. I got a notepad, which I don't have any notes for, and I got a sliding iPad. I will admit that there's been no shortage of frustrations over the last 3 years, almost 3 years of doing the channel with just like small things like that I try to get perfect and just don't generally go perfectly, but we get there in the end. Hello, for those of you watching live, and for those of you that may be watching this post-live or just catching up. But yeah, I figured I'd do it's that time of year, kind of, you do your season in review in March, just before the next season of parks start. And wow, what a crazy last 2 years it's been. For the beginning of this channel, at that point, we were only 1 year old at the point that the you know what started. I did get a haircut, so my hair is looking a little wonky as I watch myself on delay adjust that. But hello, 250 videos. I can't believe it. In the time that's been done, I even managed to get, as some of you may know, a short film completed, which was produced entirely during the pandemic. So it's been no shortage of busy times during that course of what we would like to leave behind us. So what is the point of this video? Well, I guess I'm going to talk about plans for the channel, because I have realized over the last 249 videos what works better than others, what exactly I want to do with the channel, why I'm doing it anyway, which I don't think I've ever really explained to many, and also just give you an idea of what's planned for the future and what's going to go on in the days, months, weeks, years to come. I hope you enjoyed the second part of the LaRon series. It is going to be a 6-part series. And the biggest chapter is coming next, which is a project or a piece that was very close to my heart. I do have the ability to answer questions this time, so if you do have any questions, and I usually am better at answering questions than just coming up with them at the top of my head, so please do. The third chapter in that series will be about Expo 67, which has been a well-documented project in Montreal, but a project that's been close to my heart, especially since I never got to go. But if you know the channel, you know I've done plenty of videos over there, and what you're going to see in this coming season for sure is even more of a focus on LaRon and the LaRon experience. Because let's not kid ourselves, it just doesn't get enough love or much love at all from any enthusiasts, really, even those locally, because probably it deserves that, if I was to be honest. LaRon is not exactly a park. I'm just going to adjust my head there, yeah, because it's cutting off with the frame in the back. Yeah, it doesn't receive much love, which again, as I've even said in one of the videos, is not really too fair to the park. They're doing their best, but there are things going on behind the scenes that are detrimental to the park being more successful than it has been over the years. But people seem to enjoy those videos. So because of that, you'll see more of that coming up. I wouldn't say you'll see many vlogs, as I should probably point out now. I'm not going to be doing that many vlogs anymore. I specifically probably will not be doing one at Wonderland this year. I have to call things the way they are, and I just find the crowds at Wonderland have gotten increasingly disruptive. And because of that, I do my vlogs on my own, so I do draw attention to myself when I do them. I'm a bit older than your standard vlogger, And yeah, it's just not been a very enjoyable experience at Wonderland because of the crowds. I would not say it's the park's fault, but I cut out a lot of stuff from my videos. And one day I probably will compile it all together for you to just see all the interactions that have been not so great that have happened over the course of the last 3 years. I've been to parks all over the world. I've been to parks in the States, I've been to parks in the South, I've been to parks in Japan, I've been to parks in China, I've been to parks in Europe, and now across Canada as well, and Laurent. And yeah, nothing really holds a torch to what's going on with how people are kind of behaving at Wonderland as of late. I can only point out that opening weekend of Halloween Haunt as the best example of that. So yeah, I'm just gonna take a break. And I've done a lot of content from there in the past, so I feel like I've covered the park more than enough. And I fear that a lot of people think I'm, being harsh on that park, Wonderland specifically. And I'm not, but I am coming from the perspective of when I was a young kid and I was of the average vlogger age. And when I went to the park, alone a lot of the time, I just did not experience the same level of sort of animosity that you get. I can put up with it. I have no issues with that. It's just that mentally I think I need a bit of a break. It's just been a little bit much. I've done what I need to do. There are plenty of content providers out there that are, sorry while I deal with a cat that might knock over my light. There are plenty of great content providers that already do vlogs at Wonderland and will continue doing so. And you know many of them already. There's one big one, and they do a great job. I'd say my style is a little bit different and lengthy, for sure, and has a different perspective than, say, those other vloggers out there. But again, been there, done that. So nothing really to cover in the park this year. As I did sort of cover in my last news update, which will be, the updates will continue throughout the year. I am making the commitment to actually produce those throughout the year. So you'll see one, possibly two, every month. And I'll do my best to get as much info about parks locally as I can. One of the things about being like a YouTuber now, the landscape is changing because there's more and more of them. And whenever a YouTuber communicates to a park, there is a bit of pushback in regards to, I'd say, the park operations looking at it as we're in it just for the monetization factor of what we do. I can assure you that is not the case with my channel. It is not, not to sound disappointed, but, over the course of 3 years and 250 videos, it's nowhere near the size that I would have hoped, maybe, at this point. But yes, it is monetized, so I've done something right. And this isn't cheap, obviously. A trip out west to go check out all those haunts in the Calgary and Edmonton area, and all those smaller attractions that I covered, and including also going to Florida and that, I pay for it on my own. We have a guest. But yeah, it's not about paying for those trips. It's more just about the fact that it helps a little bit here and there. And it also indicates that your channel is reaching people and that they're actually enjoying it, which is really the only reason why I'm doing this. It's to cover a passion that I've had from, as long as I can remember. I used to build roller coaster models in the middle of our living room when I was a kid, much to my mother's disdain, even though I wish I still had them. There are a lot of things that you wish you still had that you throw away when you're getting into those adolescent and later adolescent years and you go away to university, and then you're like, I wish I actually still kept all that stuff. And B-Man's got a question coming in, so I'm going to answer that in a moment. The fact of the matter is that I do this because I love it, and that's why we're here. Sorry, I got to adjust this screen. As I said, I'm having issues with keeping it up. See, I don't know what it is about iPads. They never really want to create a great stand for an iPad, do they? It's almost like an inside joke with Apple. Another segue. And one thing that you might have noticed with the videos as of late and why they're kind of taking a bit of time to get up on the channel, there's a lot, I'd say the production value and the editing and all that kind of stuff and the music, which I will point out is all my own music as well. Some of it's a little wonky in the beginning there. I thank you for, sticking with me while I kind of worked out some of the stuff in Logic and sort of mastered how to get the mixes right and all that jazz. But I definitely wanted all my content to be original to what I do and to have its own feel and its own look. And I feel like we're here now. So after 250 videos, we're finally here. I did pull all my old live stuff down, mainly because I feel that those videos aren't really as successful as, say, the other content that I'm producing. So maybe one day I'll put them back up, but for the time being, me shooting my mouth off about the topics of the day, didn't really have as much traction as I thought it might. So we're going to focus on what I do maybe more successfully than that. Getting back to the tech thing. So in the past, ever since the short film that I produced was finished, my computer just decided enough is enough. Despite working great in, say, 2 years ago and nothing really changing as far as how I do my editing and that, it is just not up to this task anymore. Running like a Commodore 64, if you're old enough to remember such a thing, but yeah, really like a 486. But yeah, it's been really rough for the past month or two trying to get content out. And then you render overnight, and then you upload to YouTube. You find you have a random copyright infringement because of background music in the park, and then you got to do the whole process over again. Something that fortunately I haven't filmed, but is full of tons of drama. If you wanted to see it, if you could see it, you wouldn't believe it. But it's the amount of patience that I've had during that time, I think deserves an award in and on itself. Fortunately, this Friday, that is all over with, and I will have a new computer in, which is much more mobile, i.e. a laptop that I haven't had in almost a decade. So finally, I'll be able to upload a lot quicker, because I still have at least 20 odd videos, ones that were more production heavy, that for me, I was just like, I can't even broach the subject right now because I just know the headache that I would go through producing that. So, segue to that, one thing that will definitely happen in the month of March is look for a continuation of the Future series that I produced and premiered last year with some other parks that I did not cover that, again, I will only touch parks in the Future series that I've actually visited. I feel like it's kind of silly to cover a park that I've never actually physically been in and talk about its future. But I've been to a few parks, so that means that I will be hitting Magic Mountain for Future. I will be hitting Kings Island, which is a big one for the Future series. I'll probably be hitting a couple other Six Flags parks, i.e. Great Adventure and Great America. And I've covered most of the Canadian parks that I can in the Future series that makes sense. But I'm going to do one for fun, and I'm going to do Centerville in sort of like a, if I had an unlimited budget and I could take this park to its next level, we're going to do Centerville and check that out. Because that would be an exciting project if they wanted to do something with it. I may do Ontario Place as well, or formerly known as the city of Toronto still tries to figure out what it actually wants to do with that space. Well, I'm going to give it a couple of ideas. A big announcement happened only a couple of months or half a year ago now about what they wanted to do with it, with the 3 private enterprises taking it over. I hate that idea, just for the record. I don't think it's a good idea at all. It does not fall in line with the integrity of what Ontario Place was. And I feel it should go back in a different direction. More a celebration of Ontario and the country as it was originally established. It was sort of like an Expo 68, 69. It was really an Expo 71 for Toronto. And yeah, they should get back to that. you're going to see a lot of references to that in the next couple of videos because there will be an Ontario Place documentary coming up, which I did start, and then Expedition Theme Park literally hit us with their well done documentary on Ontario Place while I was doing the research for that particular project. So I'm waiting a bit of time before I actually produce that one, which will be far more in depth, and because it does have a lot of history with myself and my childhood, yeah, that's going to be a pretty epic film. I'd say it's probably going to be an hour in length. The Expo 67 film will also be an hour in length. The overall Laurent series should clock in at 2 hours if you count all the parts together, because there's a lot to talk about with that park. It's very exciting. For those of you that are wondering whether or not the Wonderland history series will continue, well, I can assure you, yes, that will happen, and it's coming in the next couple of months. I'm looking at sort of the launch or the beginning of the theme park season and around the early part of May for that actually to be produced. To be honest with you, the knots or the zeros or whatever you want to call the next decade in that series, it's going to be much quicker and easier to produce. There's a lot more content available and less research necessarily that's involved with that, because we all know kind of what happened during those years. Okay, I'm going all over the place. We got a couple of questions. So I think I actually just answered one there, B-Man. Yeah, so I did literally just answer B-Man's question, which is when is the next Wonderland series coming out, or documentary on the history, and that will be in early May. And yeah, I will probably pause it at that and really kind of, I don't think I'll be doing the 10s immediately after that. Stay with us. It will get produced, but I think a little bit of hindsight is required, because let's not kid ourselves, the end of that decade is going to be pretty dark. It's not going to be a very positive ending, because we know what actually happened in 2020 at the very end of that particular decade. So yeah, look for that very soon. Next question. I think your channel has a lot of cool, unique content. Others, keep it up. Thank you very much, Game Freak 9. I'm definitely trying to stay outside of the box when it comes to what I produce. What does that mean? Well, my own favorite series that I produce on this channel, and the one that I definitely, when people gravitate towards it and it shows longevity, and when I put the videos together, I really, you know, they're the ones that I'm most proud of, let's say, and that has to be the Reprofiles. I love the name. I love the whole aspect of what that series is about. It's completely tongue-in-cheek. It is parody, but not a parody video. I'm not, you know, I'm not out to copy Tyler or anything like that. I'm trying to have my own spin on theme park history. So there will be a sequel to The Curse of Kings Island, which was pretty much the first video that I consider the full package of what I wanted to do with this channel. So look forward to that. It will be another dark video, thus the curse. And for those of you that know your history will probably know what it's about, because in that video I didn't cover specific events at Kings Island that there are many videos about, but I'm going to do it in my own special way. So look for The Curse of Kings Island 2 coming up. That will probably be later into the spring season, early summer, because that is a video that, like I said, I put a lot of effort into that to make sure it's just perfect, from sound all the way down into the theming and the atmosphere of the video. I want them to be rewatchable. I personally rewatch a lot of my videos, and it's amazing to see in hindsight. While I might pull my hair out at the time of actually producing them, in hindsight, it always feels good watching them back and being like, you know what, you did a good job. It was well worth that time that you put in to put that all together. So Games Freak 9 has another question. Are you planning on doing any Disney content? So I did go to Disney in October, late October, and I did Universal as well. I did Fun Spot, which was fantastic. Like I was blown away by how much fun no pun intended, I had at Fun Spot, but if you're in Orlando, don't sleep on Fun Spot. It's like you could go for a couple hours and do everything you want, ride White Lightning or Mind Blower, depending on which park you go to. Yeah, it's fantastic. The staff there are amazing. It's just a great time. It may be a bit pricey for what you get, but I can't say enough about the park. If you're looking for like that polished experience, you know, where you can get that in Orlando. But yeah, don't sleep on Fun Spot. I definitely want to get down to Georgia and ride Air Force One if I can. Not so sure I'll be able to make that this year. Originally, I had a plan on, I know I'm getting off topic, I'll get back to the Disney part. But originally, I was planning on going to Texas and covering the parks there, and then maybe scooting up to Silver Dollar City and across through southern, and through the south, through Georgia and that, and back. Sorry, just reading the questions there. But back to Disney. Yes, I will be covering some Disney content. I'm looking at a couple of reprofiles videos or specials on Disney specifically. Let's not kid ourselves. There's so much content that you can cover there. Part of the reason why I went on that trip was to actually cover or to accumulate my own content, so that way I didn't have to go and outsource a lot of the video for what I produce. That's something that's going to continue in the next couple of months as I will talk about my trip coming up. But yeah, I don't, I think I might do, I don't know if I want to do an impressions of Disney now video. I think that sort of off the cuff vlog that I did in combination with the Disney videos and the vlogs really cover my impressions of Orlando currently. Let's just say I had a great time in Florida. It was definitely worth it. I got my obligatory coffee here, which I'll take a sip of. But yeah, I still need to get back to Epcot. I've made the commitment that I will be back in Florida this year. I had such a good time in October that the 7-year gap that I spent in between the last trip and this one, that was way too long. And we all know there's a lot of sort of major coasters that have come down the wire in just the time that I've been there, i.e., you know, Icebreaker is opened, that massive free fall tower is open at Icon Park as well, which I definitely want to go ride. And, you know, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, which is Iron Gwazi, which I got to get on too. So just came down this week that Kumba is under threat of closing, and I'm really upset about this. Now, if you have been to Busch Gardens recently, you'll know that on any given day, it seems like you can basically just walk onto Kumba, and it's just not getting the ridership that it deserves. In the vlog that I produced there, outside of one of the park attendants, which I didn't talk about, just completely losing it within, like, I don't know, I shouldn't even really mention it, but they just like literally they lost their mind. They were shouting about how long their shift was and how nobody should work there and yada yada. Not a very good look. But that's, you know, that's SeaWorld parks for you. You know, they're a very colorful bunch, and I love them to death. But this particular op did not have a good day. But besides the point, Kumba is just not getting the ridership that it deserves. And I think Busch Gardens is saying, you know what, as per Tyler's recent video, which is the only one I really watched on the speculation, outside of Screamscape, also dropping the bomb on this recent news, that I definitely want to get back to ride Kumba at least a couple more times. It's a huge roller coaster in the history of my enthusiasm for roller coasters themselves. It was one of the first coasters that I had brochures for and looked at in awe and said, oh my God, I cannot wait for the day that I can ride this ride. It never disappointed then, the first time I rode it, which was 7-8 years ago, which is a long time in waiting. And it was brilliant when I was there. Some people say it rides rough. I didn't really notice it being that rough compared to most B&Ms when they get later in age. But Kumba deserves a big send-off. And much like Vortex, back when it was sent off and it was, had its big celebrations, and I still miss it so much. Yeah, I definitely don't want this last trip to be my last chance to have ridden Kumba. I did get 4 rides on it. I got a couple of day rides and a couple of night rides, and all of them were fantastic. The ride's just great. It's picturesque. The way it takes that sort of, so many unassuming moments in that ride, like the lead into the Cobra roll and the speed that it takes going into that, the roar. It's just the perfect roller coaster. I hope, like in my heart of hearts, that ride ends up somewhere else if they do take it out. Because as I've said in the vlog, any other park that could take that ride on could only benefit from it. Callaway Park, not going to happen, but it's also so intricate in how it's placed in the park geographically. It's kind of a landscape, like a terrain coaster in a way. So I could see that being rather difficult to just take it and move it somewhere else and sell it off. And if they're saying that it's near its service life, then yeah, it may just have to be scrapped, which is really devastating. Let's just say if Busch Gardens announces this at some point in this coming season, I'm just going to book my flight to get down there. I got plenty of excuses to go back to Orlando anyway, primarily Iron Gwazi, be in the park for Iron Gwazi, right? And I didn't get Cheetah Hunt last time I was there, so I definitely like to get back onto Cheetah Hunt, which I think is another underrated ride, which I enjoy a lot. And then get on everything else that's in Orlando too. So, yeah, did I answer the question? I don't think I did. Is there any more Disney content coming? Well, on that particular trip, I will definitely be hitting Epcot because at that time, obviously, Guardians will be open, and I'll definitely be checking that out. I didn't think that Epcot was worth it on the last trip. There's just no value to a park that's half closed or is half under construction, as Epcot kind of has been for the last couple of years. But with the opening of that ride, it definitely finally will be. So I'll definitely be hitting Epcot. As my partner, who is actually in the Magic Kingdom today, bawling her eyes out, it is what it is. Peter Pan syndrome. We both got it, right? She is enjoying Magic Kingdom as she always does, but as I've told her, I don't think I'll be going to the Magic Kingdom anytime soon. It's going to take a lot to get me back there. I've already been on Tron in Shanghai. I'm not going to go off on my review of the ride again. I've covered it in various videos. And I've also I've been on the Snow White coaster with a walk-on through the single rider queue, which they should have in the Magic Kingdom, which is kind of ridiculous. Which I got a front seat ride on that ride. I wish I had done a POV of it, but unfortunately I didn't capture it at the time. I was kind of nervous being in China and being like, oh, can I record here? I don't know if I can. There's a communication gap there because they don't really speak too good English, or any at all in some cases. So I was underwhelmed by that ride. So I don't really see a reason why I should go back to the Magic Kingdom. It's not really a park that I'm too keen on visiting again. I've done all the rides numerous times, and I want to spend those Disney dollars that are getting more and more devalued, i.e. it costs more and more to go to the Disney parks, on other things, i.e. I got a couple of Disney parks left to go before I've finished the entire chain. So a trip to California is definitely coming, but that won't happen until the end of the year in the fall. Well, October, mid-October. I'm going to hit Disneyland and California Adventure for the first time. I'm obviously going to go to Magic Mountain, going to go to SeaWorld, going to go to Belmont Park in San Diego. And also, I'm on, obviously, Knott's Berry Farm, can't miss that. And I'm on the fence with Universal Studios Hollywood, because again, having been to Japan and having been to Florida, I just don't see good value on spending over $100 American just to ride Jurassic World. I would like the experience, but oddly, and this is another segue further ahead, I'm getting married this year. In fact, I'm getting married in 2.5 months, or 10 weeks, very close. And because of that, we're probably going to Japan for our honeymoon at the end of this year, if everything works out, you know, with how things are. And if that's the case, then I will be at Super Nintendo World and checking that out anyway. So that means, yeah, I'll be waiting a bit of time. I think I answered the Disney question. I apologize if I haven't. So yeah, there's going to be reprofile stuff coming for Disney, and also obviously some vlogs coming from the new parks that I hit in the near future. So you can look to at least getting, if you know, in this year, you're going to get 2 Disney parks in California vlogs, and you're going to get Epcot. As I said with the start of the video, vlogging is not going to happen too much anymore, but anytime I hit a new park that hasn't had a vlog on this channel, I will definitely do that no matter what. So I'll always vlog when I hit a new park, or if I'm hitting a new park, or if I'm hitting a park that has a new attraction that deserves a highlight specifically, then I will definitely cover that as well. All right, couple more questions I got to cover here. C&E is coming back, B-Man. As mentioned in my last update, yes, very excited. Going to do 2 to 3. Again, I'm going to do some vlogs from the C&E because they need some love. I had a great time when I was able to go there in 2019. It seems crazy that it's been that long ago. And I'm going to cover, when I went to the C&E the last time, I wanted to do all the flats in one day. All the adult flat rides in one day. I think I got to 2/3 of them before I had to tap out on that idea because time was getting a little constrictive, and also it's not easy to do that. Like if you develop nausea, say through the day, like generally at a theme park I'm fine, but yeah, when it comes to carnival rides and fairground rides, they're a little bit more intense and rickety sometimes. And when I go on a ride like the Zipper, I'm pretty sure I covered it in the vlog that I did from 2019, but me and this kid went on the Zipper, and when we got off, the ride-op was saying how he's never seen that many spins on a single car as I had managed to get us going on that ride. So because of that one ride, it kind of set the course for the rest of the day for me, and I was like a bit like, okay, I overdid it, but it was a fantastic ride. The kid was like, wow, this is awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do that again this year. And then I'm gonna do a history video about the C&E as well. So I'm gonna cover the grounds and the history of it in a vlog form, sort of like a walk around as I've done with some of the other parks on this channel. And I'm gonna do an overall history of the C&E as well. So look for a big video on that, which should come out right close to when the C&E opens. That will be the cinematic style, the history that you see a la the Laurent series. So when the Laurent series and the Wonderland series ends, you can look forward to the Ontario Place and C&E history videos to come after that. There's another one hidden in there for a controversial park that I'm gonna do a history video about anyway. As much as me covering the park on this channel does get a lot of pushback, we're doing it anyway because history is history, and yeah, one park has got no shortage of it, and I'm gonna cover it warts and all for those that don't want to enjoy it but will watch it anyway, and for those that do enjoy what that park has to offer. Back to the actual question though, what's your favorite ride or thing you like to do past or present at the C&E? I definitely covered it as the Zipper. I love that ride. It is pretty much my favorite flat ride of all time, still to this day. I think I could probably do a documentary just on the Zipper alone as how iconic that ride has been. And yeah, it's just been that, it's just that whole contraption is just states fear. Like when you ride the Zipper for the first time, I honestly believe that after you do that ride, as a young kid or what stage in your life you are where you're ready to brave that ride, you're pretty much ready for anything after that. you just have nothing to worry about as far as the thrill level is concerned, because it's probably the most intense experience you can get on a fairground flat ride, or any flat ride for that matter. So yeah, it's gonna have to be the Zipper without question. Some of the newer ones, I'm gonna completely gap out on the KMG ride. The Kamikaze, is it called Kamikaze? But those giant arm ones, I'm totally gapping out on it. I hadn't actually been on one until I went to the CNE in 2019, but that's definitely one of my favorite rides. But this is First Drop, formerly Coaster Daft, and we know what I really love, and that's ghost trains. And I wish that the CNE had the same amount of haunted houses and ghost trains as they had when I was a kid. Because when you used to go around that midway, there'd be like 4 of them, all with different theming in that, which was fantastic. Now the fun houses are not as great, and they have like 1 ghost train, which is the haunted house, which is like a pretty average, if at best, ghost train. So I certainly wish that they would get more though, another one of those in. Because yeah, I just love them. I think they're great. I love multi-level ones. I look at the German fair circuit, and the ones that they have out there are at Hyde Park, Winter Wonderland. Like those events and the offering that they have is just out of this world. There is one flat ride that does the Kermis circuit in Germany and Holland and that, which is this crazy, like, I don't know the name of it. I believe it's called, it's not Cyclone, it's Paradox, I believe. And it's a spinning ride that you stand in just like an old Pharaoh's Eye, but the thing actually inverts upside down and then back again. And it just looks like the most craziest ride I've ever seen. So that's probably tops of my list as far as flat rides in an amusement park or a fairground that I'd like to try again. I do want to get on one of those Borg rides as well. So I'm going to go to Great Adventure and finally get that off my list if it's running. Hopefully it will be, and that's another flat that I would definitely like to get onto in the near future. Make sure I answered that question. Okay, yeah, I definitely covered that. I've been to Busch Gardens and SeaWorld, and the coasters are great, but that's where the fun ends for me. Unfortunately, compared to Disney and Universal, the SeaWorld parks just can't compete. I totally understand that perspective. I think that as you get to be more of an adult, not to say that you're not an adult, but when you get a little bit tired of, say, the chaos of Disney on a busy day, and you've had your feet run over a couple times by mobility vehicles, and the kids, and the stroller parkades, and the long waits, and there's a lot of videos on the channel, or not on the channel, but on YouTube right now, about how Disney is getting more and more an enjoyable experience, or an enjoyable experience, because of the price point and overall just the sameness of what they're doing. So less live shows, increased ticket prices, no more fast track for free, and you know, it's getting a little bit hard to manage. I say this, but Animal Kingdom knocks it out of the park every time. Every time I've been to Animal Kingdom, I've been like, this is one of my favorite parks. It still is one of my top 10 parks. I love Animal Kingdom. There's just not enough to do. So you still have to pay that crazy price to get in. But really, I spent a half a day there, and I had everything covered. I did Flight of Passage twice. Cali River Rapids, it's like really the kind of the worst Rapids ride. Like, the theming is great, but like it's so short, and there's nothing really much to it. When you've ridden the one in China, it's just like, you're just like, this is nothing. This is average compared to what that ride is. But yeah, love the park still. It's amazing. Everest is, of course, one of the best Disney coasters out there. And Dinosaur. I just love dinosaurs so much. Maybe it's because of my like obsession with ghost trains and dark rides, but still love Dinosaur. I'll ride it at least twice whenever I get the chance to go to the park, which the last time I did was a walk-on, so totally the case. On that point, and as I've said to my good partner, who's been to Florida about 10 times to visit Disney parks, is a Harry Potter obsessive and still has not been to Universal. Like, what's going on? Like, I can't even force these people to go. For those of you that have been, and Game Freak number 9, you know, like, I can't believe that people sleep on Universal and spend all their time at Disney and don't even give one of the parks a chance. Islands of Adventure is one of the best parks in the world, if not in the top 3, or, you know, I'll give it like close to a top 3, but I don't think it's the best park in the world. But oof, is it crazy good now? Like, when you think about, like, I loved Hagrid's. I thought Hagrid's has kind of gotten underrated over the years, and I thought it was a phenomenal ride. I definitely missed out on a night ride, and I did Velocicoaster for a night ride because I could only do one of the two. It was, Islands, IOA is like the best. The theming, the way it's all put together, the experience, the staff, the food, Popeye being the craziest water ride probably ever as compared to Cali River Rapids. Like, there's just no contest. And yeah, IOA is unbelievable. Universal Studios itself, you know, it's a good park. I definitely think that some of its rides are kind of junk, like, to be honest with you. I was completely overwhelmed by Rip Ride Rocket. After all of the naysayers I heard about it in the past, it delivered far better than what I was expecting. And that single rider line, boom, you're right on it in no time. I love the fact that it's like intense. They're like, get on now. Like, it's like they're in your face with that. And yeah, it's a great ride. I definitely enjoyed it. The Mummy, which I'm afraid to see what they're gonna do with it, but I was blown away by the Mummy. I had been on King Kong, the original King Kong, and I was like, oh, it's too bad that that ride doesn't exist anymore. But what an amazing replacement of a ride, because King Kong, or the Mummy, was unbelievable. I was just like flabbergasted by how much I enjoyed that ride after many, many years of waiting. And you know, when it comes down to it, I keep always getting the name mixed up. Magical Journey, Magical Voyage, whichever it's called, Forbidden Journey. That's my Harry Potter ride. I don't really think Gringotts is that great. I'm definitely with the Sean Sandbrook perspective of the screens and everything on that ride. Just not for me. If you've never read a Harry Potter book, that ride kind of goes over your head. Atmosphere and theming, incredible, but just overall, I was just like, nah, it's not really that great of a ride. Like, it's impressive like for the technology involved in it, but yeah, it really wasn't my thing. There are other rides there. Kind of underwhelmed by Transformers. Still think Spider-Man is the superior ride, even though it's the original version of that tech. But I don't know, it just, for some reason, just that whole part where you fall out, where the car falls off the building, and how they did that with the rolling, or they managed that with the rolling screens and everything, blows me away. I love it. I loved it in Japan. I loved it here. I don't like Men in Black. I think it's kind of boring and confusing and frustrating of a ride. But other than that, yeah, Universal Hollywood is like kind of definitely a half-day park for me, whereas IOA, all day. I think that they got it just a little bit better than Disney now as far as the cleanliness of the park and just the way it's all mapped out and the theming. Rips off Falls, while it gets a lot of like naysayers, I think it's still a great ride. I just even Doctor Doom's Fearfall also gets a lot of like hate. I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty cool. Like the fact that you go into the mist and everything, and like it's not the greatest space shot in the world, but yeah, it's a good ride. IOA, I love it. I can't say enough about it. I'd probably say, you know, it's between Busch Gardens and IOA is my favorite park in Florida. So you got my top 3 there for sure. But I love SeaWorld as well. Controversial park over the years, but you know, a little bit grotty and rustic. But if that's what you're looking for and you're looking for value, SeaWorld, if you like beer, you know, I'm not drinking right now, but my last trip, it was like they kept trying to throw it at me just for free. Like it was a very nice atmosphere. I had a great time there. So yeah, I'm gonna try to catch up on questions here. I have been to SeaWorld. Going to California, bring your biolab suit. Yeah, this is fair. This is fair. That's why that trip is happening late into the year and why I actually delayed it, because I was originally going to go in April or or early May, but that's not happening anymore. Also because of Wonder Woman. I want to make sure that's open by the time I get to Magic Mountain. And who knows, something might be starting to be built at Knott's Berry Farm by that point too. So it'd be interesting to go, or more interesting to go at that time, I think. Anyway, I'm also going to go to an event in Vegas at that time, which this is all revolving around, but that's for another channel. Bring you space. I'm going to just read the questions here. With Canada's Wonderland being so crowded the last few years, do you think the GTA can support another amusement park? Was hoping for a second gate at Wonderland, but that space is a hospital, as you know. Yeah, I'm very disappointed by the building. That land was going to be developed no matter what at some point. Wonderland still, I believe, owns some of the land south of the hospital, off of Major Mackenzie Drive. Don't anticipate. Perfect scenario would for them to use that space as a parking garage, similar to how Universal has it set up, and then have like its own dedicated like tram service, or even Busch Gardens in Tampa. If you've been there, they have a very similar sort of setup that's less, say, ornate, but works very efficiently. And that would free up a ton of space in Wonderland. I'm not so sure how big Wonderland needs to be, because it is already a massive park in retrospect to other parks. And with Kingswood going down, that space is going to open up. Once that area is available, there's going to be a significant amount of space in that park. They're already, if you follow the rumors, shoehorning, I can't even say it, shoehorn. Yeah, I lose those shoehorns a lot. But the point being is that there's a new launched family coaster, maybe going into the Camp Snoopy area of the park. Rugrats / if it is still Rugrats, I don't think it is. And that's pretty bad if I can't remember that, but it's been a while. It is definitely Peanuts. Is it Peanuts? Yeah, it's Peanuts now, because Lucy's Tugboat's in there. Yeah, they're going to be possibly building a coaster in that section of the park and back where the old aquarium was in that. So Wonderland's still trying to maximize the amount of space that they have. So I don't know what the plan is going forward for the size of the park, but I don't see it being astronomically big. Let's say my little scenario works out where they do build the parking garage on the other side of Major Mackenzie and then open up the entire current parking area for increased space for the park. Well, if they did that, then you're talking a second park. That's enough land for a second park, which I don't see them doing. It just wouldn't make any sense, because Cedar Fair doesn't really have the theming or IPs attached to them to make a second park. I do like the idea, though, B-Man, of a second gate. If you've been to Carowinds, they have that set up, and that was one of the things that Cedar Fair first did when they opened the park, and they mastered the front gate coaster. I know a lot of people like Gatekeeper at Cedar Point, and visually it looks great, but nothing beats Fury 325 as far as having just an awe-inspiring coaster to come into at the front gate of that park, technically the second gate. But and even with Afterburn on the other side of the park, which is a highly underrated inverted coaster and one of my favorites, that's also tied to the entrance of their second gate. So Carowinds has it perfectly. I love Carowinds as well. It's one of my favorite parks that I've been to. Wonderland, it's too late to have that impressive of an opening of a gate because they have Leviathan already. That is their gate coaster. And Fury kind of took that idea and just perfected it. But yeah, they definitely need a second gate. Let's not kid ourselves. They need a whole new entrance. They need a whole, the entrance now is kind of Frankenstein-ish in that over the years, it's lost its original character from what it had back in the 80s and 90s. Now it's kind of like a hodgepodge of various ideas. There's some sirens outside. But but it just does not have the proper feel. If you've been to Kings Island, you kind of get the idea that, hey, this is still the original vibe of what that front gate was about. It's large enough to take the capacity. It's fantastic during the haunt, the way it's all set up, and they put that castle outside the gate and like actually turn it into a haunted house itself. Like nothing beats that. And Wonderland, unfortunately, they just have not got it right over the years. They've had too many owners that have kind of just taken little pieces of it and made it different things. The souvenir or the gift shop at Wonderland is embarrassing. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The last time I was actually at Wonderland, the service there was so poor, and I'm gonna call it the way it is, but the service was so poor that the manager of the store actually saw that I had 2 shirts that I was gonna buy, and then I just put them back on the rack and I left because it was just like, I can't deal with this. Like it's not, it was just like I was at, nobody was paying attention. It was just awful. Like I'm not gonna go into it, that's not what this video is about, but I was very disappointed. And that store also just feels like it has not been touched since 1981. So for those of us that do enjoy that park for having little aspects of its original feel, where you got no better place to go than that gift shop because it feels exactly the same it has since the park opening. They need to just tear the whole thing down and start from scratch. I honestly think they should push back the entrance a bit into the park and make a little bit more of a larger profile for them to build off of and make the entrance that actually an experience. Because right now it just feels like you're at an airport check-in when you go into the front gate of Wonderland. Yeah, it's just, it's off-putting. I never like it. Whenever I go through the gate, it's brutal. Like even just like getting back to the people or the crowds that go to Wonderland lately, every single time I've lined up to get into that park, somebody has butted in line in front of me. Half of the time I do mention it because I'm not shy at shirking. I will not shirk away from a confrontation like that because it's like, look, people are waiting, and just because you guys want to get in first and you think that you can just like sneak in, well, it's not on. But it happens a lot because there's zero organization. All of those lines kind of lead to nowhere. Nobody's managing it. It's just a free-for-all. I don't like it. I hate it. I think you kind of picked that up. But yeah, they definitely need to. I would be happy sacrificing a new ride as for 1 year of Wonderland's upcoming life just to have that whole thing torn down and redone. Because Kings Island, like I said, is in the park chain. They do it right. Carowinds, they do it right. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me why one of the biggest parks in the chain. Cedar Point, it's not the greatest front entrance gate either. I will admit to that. There's a little bit, it kind of has the feel of what that park is about over the last 100 years, so I can't take anything away from that. But yeah, it also could do with some improvements as well. Getting behind on the questions, got to catch up here if I can. I feel like Wonderland can get lazy with certain things because they have zero competition, basically. You are not wrong on that, Game Freak 9. Can's Wonderland being so crowded for the last few years, the second game, already covered that question. I suppose anything is possible. More comments on stuff that I've just gone off of. Universal is fantastic. Spider-Man is a wow ride. Not a Harry Potter fan, but I have to admit Forbidden Journey is an amazing ride. Completely agree. It is fantastic. It is probably the best dark ride ever. A lot of people, when they talk about dark rides, they don't talk about Pirates in China, mainly because they haven't been on it for, you know, lack of a better reason. But I'd say that those two are tied, because Forbidden Journey every time blows my mind. It blows my mind that that ride is basically 20 years old, and it is as good as it is. But then when you ride Indiana Jones / Dinosaur, you're like, wow, the golden age of when those rides were being created versus now, it's really kind of brings a tear to your eye, and how underrepresented that kind of experience is being built on now. Like, I like that. I love Clifton Hill and Triotech, but I don't think that Carnival Chaos is going to touch a torch to that type of experience by any stretch of the imagination. And we all know that's not true. But yeah, just that kind of unlimited budget and big IP, big ride and attraction. Universal are still kind of doing it to some degree, but nothing is touching those old rides that you've got basically at the turn of the century in the early 2000s with Indiana Jones and that. You know, the Cars ride at California Adventure, while still now almost a 20-year-old technology, looking forward to that. If you've watched my vlog from Tokyo Disneysea, I was pretty underwhelmed by Journey to the Center of the Earth. I think it's probably one of the more overhyped rides out there. Yeah, it's kind of like It's a Small World with speed to me. That's kind of the way it feels, and it's not that great. Don't believe all that you hear, because yeah, it's also extremely underwhelming as far as length is concerned. It's about 3.5 minutes after sometimes a 3.5-hour wait. Severely underwhelming, but that's again for another video. If you like dinosaur at AK, you will love Indiana Jones at Disneyland in Cali. I believe the Indiana Jones in Cali is the same ride as the one in Disneysea, with some slight variations, but I have been on that one twice and it was fantastic. I definitely loved it. It's kind of on the fence because I enjoy Dinosaur so much, but having been on Dinosaur recently, I would say the Indiana Jones was the better ride. The animatronics need a bit of an update on that particular ride, even though it's not too old. But I'm looking forward to the one in California because I hear that is the best of the lot. So I'm definitely going to enjoy that when I get down there to finally ride it. Journey at Disneysea. Disneysea itself is an amazing park. Theming, yes, 100%. Tokyo Disneysea is the best theme park in the world when it comes to theming. It is the best theme park in the world. Without question, nothing comes anywhere close to what Disneysea is. But when you're looking for rides, you're like, none of them are really that amazing, other than, say, Indiana Jones. Journey to the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I went on that with my mom and she was like, that's it? Like, that was kind of not worth it. I enjoyed it, but like, it's not amazing by any stretch of the imagination. Going into the ride and the whole experience of actually seeing it and that is incredible. But the ride experience itself kind of doesn't live up to the expectation of everything else in that park. The Little Mermaid Grotto, like, that is probably the most visually stunning themed area I've ever seen in a park, other than maybe Mount Prometheus. I can't even say this. Mount Prometheus, the centerpiece of Disneysea. Just walking around, I could just walk around that park all day and just take in all the hidden details and nuances of it, because it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable. It's hard to even like put the words to it, because when you're there, you're just drooling because there's popcorn everywhere, and just the visuals and just the experience and the steam and the exploding freaking, sorry, I'm gonna try to keep this PG, but it is that crazy when you're there. You're just like, wow, like it's too much to take in, and it's so hard to translate to that to people at home. But yeah, the ride experience is not that great. The restaurants, like everything about it is amazing. Their Tower of Terror is a really impressive ride. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than what people were saying about it being tame. I thought it was quite entertaining and pretty intense. It wasn't crazy intense. I still say the one at Euro Disney or Disneyland Paris is probably going to take the cake as far as intensity is concerned. I have been to the one on recently, the original one as well, but I just felt that the Disney Paris one was a little bit more intense than all the other ones that I've been on. Do I think that Wonderland should get rid of all the upcharge rides? I've never been on any of the upcharge rides at Wonderland, and I don't think that's ever going to change in the future. Personally, I'm kind of getting over seeing those towers in the park, and generally they seem underused. No one really rides that stuff except for on really busy days. I can't see the park really seeing it being a good value anymore. Having the Space Shot, Extreme Sky Flyer, and that with the amount of manpower that goes into actually running and operating those rides on any given day, I can't see them getting that much value out of those investments anymore. And I think that that space should probably be better put. Those rides, I think, are better. They're better off served in, say, a park that's smaller, that needs like a big upcharge, extreme attraction. Centerville, never gonna get away with that, given the height clearances and that. But yeah, I just don't see really any good value towards having those rides actually there. So hopefully, maybe they'll go away soon, because they're kind of getting up to 20, 30 years now that some of them have been there. And I definitely think that they should probably go. Yeah, it's not really something that I personally even consider as part of the park offering when I go, or even consider riding. Because I've never been on them, I almost went on one at Fun Spot, like an extreme sky flyer. Next time I'm at Fun Spot, I'll probably do it, because it was a great value compared to what you pay here at home. So yeah, I would definitely think that it would be better off with those. Wonderland would be better off with those rides being relocated to somewhere like Wasaga Beach, or a place that's a little bit more like a summer destination, that, you know, it'd make more sense for those rides to be located at. Because Wonderland's a theme park, and I think we should get away from, if you're a theme park, you don't see Disney having those rides in their theme parks. So yeah, it's definitely, I think, a thing of the past. I think Wonderland has so much potential, but to me, they run it like a carnival, not a proper theme park. I heard they're going to improve the food department, which is in huge need of fixing. Thank God. Yeah, it brings up that question of like the new restaurant that's opening up, and whether or not that's going to solve the problem. I think I lost a few fans with my update criticizing the lack of build of that restaurant, or at least, like, at this point, you know, we're what, 5 weeks away from the park opening for season pass holders, and that building will not be ready then, and that building will not be ready for opening day. I don't care what anybody says, but it's not. It's not going to be ready in 2 months. It has to pass all sorts of specifications and tests and clearances, not let alone stuff for like health and safety and food. There's just like a patch of concrete there right now, which has dug up one of my favorite sections of the park, which, as I said in the last update, those poor geese that live there, they no longer have a home, so they got to go and move somewhere else now too. Yeah, there's going to be great views of Vortex Hill and Vortex and Yukon Striker from the balconies of that particular restaurant, but we still haven't seen that vision yet, have we? We don't know what it's going to look like, and from what we've been told, it is all prefab. So when you get into that kind of situation, A, you're not adhering to the original vision of that park, which was to have everything kind of built locally and to have it built bespoke, which it's not going to be. I think it's just going to be a little bit slapdash and put together. Like, it will look good in its first year, and then it's going to kind of go downhill from there. Wonderland used to have an amazing restaurant, which is now the Hotspot Cafe, I believe it's called still, and it's terrible. Hotspot Cafe is not good. The All's Well Inn as well is not good anymore. I even edited out part of my experience from Winterfest and how poor the service was, and just like the overall food offering. And it's a cafeteria. It doesn't really have a very good feel to it. Like, if you've been to, like, not many people have had the opportunity, but like, if you go to a place like Phantasialand, which is, yes, of course, on the other side of the planet, but you go and you experience the restaurants in that particular park, and you may never eat in a theme park ever again. And I honestly will be completely honest that usually when I go to theme parks, especially on the grade of Wonderland, I do not eat there. I do everything that I can to avoid eating there, because it's just like the best options now are the chain restaurants that they have on offer there. La Ronde has some hidden gems in their food, which I feel like the local community demands. Sure, they got a McDonald's and a Subway, but if they had that in Wonderland, just think of how crazy they'd be. So I go to the Tim Hortons every time I'm in Wonderland, because I just know that I'm gonna get a certain quality But even then, going into that Tim Hortons, it's a bit chaotic every time. It's very claustrophobic. It used to be a very nice Bavarian-themed restaurant that they completely gutted and took out the top floor of. So, you know, there used to be amazing balconies that line all International Street that you could sit up in and eat and have, you know, have a nice experience and then look down onto the street and enjoy the atmosphere. All gone. Is the solution to build instead of improve what's already there? Get that Hotspot Cafe back up and running. Get All's Well Inn, like has All's Wells Inn, as I complain about in every vlog that I've been to at Wonderland, has an incredible patio looking out onto the lake in Medieval Fair that really looks like your dad's deck built 30 years ago that's nearly sinking into the lake. I don't understand why they don't rebuild that deck. It doesn't make any sense to me. It would be an amazing destination for people to relax and enjoy, but the only reason why they don't do that, because A, is that it's usually not open, probably because of safety regulations, and B, it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. Like, you could actually have a cool little connection between Cratchawagon and its path that goes all the way around leading into that area. Totally underrepresented. There's a very big lack of vision when it comes to the food and drink and atmosphere and restaurant atmosphere at Wonderland that needs a wholesale like refit. And Coasters as well, which everyone, to be honest with you, Coasters might be the best restaurant in Wonderland right now just because they stuck to their theming and it is what it is. You know, it's probably the best one. I hate to say it, but yeah, like Wonderland's just not good for food right now. Even like I already said about Winterfest, but like they're trying, but it just seems like they're just not keeping it simple and using and best utilizing what they already have instead of trying to build new things and new experiences. We lost the Everest Cafe. It's gone for this new restaurant, which may never be built now for all I know. I wouldn't be shocked if that restaurant doesn't actually open this season based on the delays that it looks like it's going through. Because like we can't kid ourselves. It's not like they started constructing it before Halloween Haunt, and it's basically like they put up that hospital in no time compared to how long it's taking for this restaurant to be built. So I'm not impressed. I don't like how much land it's using. Yeah, I hope I'm proven wrong, but I'm really not feeling this particular edition, which still has not been announced yet. Try to catch up on questions. I got a lot to talk about, apparently. I don't really know at Wonderland what to expect on very rare occasions. I'll hit the buffet. Yeah, it's like very rare occasion. I will say their beer selection in that in the Hotspot Cafe is excellent. That's the one thing. Again, I don't drink currently, although that might change, and there might be another Wonder Bars vlog coming up. If I do a vlog from Wonderland this year, depending on how I feel about it, I may do another Wonder Bars vlog. It's hard to top the last one with the guest appearance of Theme Park Worldwide and also other vloggers in that particular episode, and just watching me get all tipsy through the day. But that was a long time ago. I'm kind of a different person now in a way, and I'm not really hitting the bars anymore. So who knows? I might, if the circumstances lead that way, I might do another one this year. But it's really hard. That was really hard to do all the bars in Wonderland, which there are 6 in one go. Yeah, especially since they serve those king cans. So yeah, you know where that leads. And then trying to go on roller coasters in between, it was not easy. Especially when your heroes show up to the park and you're trying to like have fun with them too, and suddenly you're being all tipsy around them. It was a fun day, but I don't know if I'll be able to top that particular video. People don't like it when you critique Wonderland. Clearly haven't been to other amusement parks. Definitely true, and I feel that they'll learn in their own time why that's true, which we're all on our own journeys, and I hope that they do understand that in the long run. But yeah, there are some Six Flags parks that are actually beating Wonderland at what they do right now. It's controversial to say, but it's true. It's just the truth of the matter, and I have to call it the way it is. I do recommend Slingshot, but overall I do agree. I may give it a try at some point. I'm on the fence still. Maybe on the right day I'll actually do it. Yeah, it's never been something that I've really been like too keen on trying, especially because of how much it costs to do it on your own, for example, and then to do it with other people in that weird bulky harness, like for like a couple of extra bucks off. I don't know. I definitely think I'll be in Florida the first time I ever do it. At least they're bringing some theming back, but it's like an amusement park trying to be a theme park. Yeah, they're really like lost the mark as far as how they're getting on with the theming at Wonderland. That's going to be an interesting subject for the next history video, as the course of that taking place is definitely covered in that section of the park's history. You know, we're in a reality of what it is now. We got a Tim Hortons in there. We got a Starbucks in there. We got certain chains that have managed to squeeze themselves into Wonderland and compromise the original vision of what the food offering at Wonderland was. I've talked a lot about the food, so I shouldn't get off on tangents about that for too much. I agree with you on the Disneysea. Yeah, covered that as well. I don't really eat at Wonderland either, except on very rare occasions. Covered that too. Oh, you mean Arthur's Pub and Grill. I still call it All's Wells Inn because that's its original name, and that's the detriment of having covered so much Wonderland history in the last 2 years, is that I often call attractions their original names. So Loco, never called it Orbiter, never will, even though it's gone now, tear to my eye, but it's So Loco. That's always what it's going to be called in my heart. Yeah, I like the original names of a lot of the Wonderland attractions, maybe because it reflected a different era of the park that I am attached to versus how it is now. It's like calling Thunder Run Cannonball or something. Like it wouldn't make sense. People would just, it's like calling the Sky Dome Rogers Center, which most people call it Rogers Center now. But, you know, we're attached to certain things, that's for sure. Oh, you mean Arthur's Pub and Grill? Yeah, covered that as well. The food at Wonderland is a joke. Without question, I will agree that the food at Wonderland is a joke. Let's hope that that changes. But I'm sorry, Grace, if you're watching, or anyone else at the park. You know I love you for many reasons, but for the food offerings, I've moaned about this for a long time. And I work in that industry, so... You know, hospitality is what I do, and I just don't think that if you're going to get more people of, say, a certain age like myself to come out and actually spend their time at the park, you need to up the ante as far as what you're offering in food. You also probably should have put a restaurant in the mountain. I'm just saying that it probably would have been a lot more better if you had, like, say, completely different themes, but if you had a reservation only Star Wars cantina, or like a concept built around like an exclusive restaurant in the mountain itself with a nice view, that would have brought people in instead of just having some massive mess hall outside of the mountain taking up other space. Two infamous ones. Philippe Carbonneau, I gotta remember what your you gotta remind me what the infamous ones are. Mountaintop dining sounds cool. I literally just thought about that now, but I think that would be two infamous ones. It's from B-Man. If you could get rid of the rides at Wonderland now, not counting the two infamous ones. Yeah, we all know what we don't want to see there. Flight Deck wasn't that bad last time I rode it. I'll say that much, but there's just so many SLCs. But Wonderland seems to be really attached to that ride, even though it probably should go. What would I get rid of? Cliffhanger? No, just kidding. I always call it Cliffhanger. I never get Sledgehammer out. I don't know if I'll ever be able to correct that. I don't know why I call it Cliffhanger, because that was the original ride of Riptide, or original name of Riptide, I believe. And I still call it Cliffhanger. It's very confusing for viewers that watch the vlog sometimes when I'm just like all over the map with those names. But this year I got it down. Riptide, Sledgehammer. Okay, neither of those rides. I'd say, you know, I hate where Riptide is. If that was taken out, I wouldn't I wouldn't shed a tear. Those rides, I think it's going to be around for a while since they actually just this past season put it through its numbers and got it all refitted and refurbished. So it's there for a while. This is a good thing for me to think about. I'm not going to name any Woodies because I think that one of the unique aspects of Wonderland is those wood roller coasters and the fact that we still have them. It still means that we have one of the best wood coaster offerings in North America. What would I get rid of? This is a great question that I actually have to. Everyone knows that I would prefer that I miss Zoom Flume. That goes without question. Oh, my light's gone out here. That's the first one I thought that would go out. I probably should wrap up soon anyway, but I'm gonna cover this question. Oh, I do know what it is. It's Cratch-A-Wagon. Cratch-A-Wagon has to go. The smell of that ride. It's all gotten dark now. I'm getting all serious, but the smell of that ride. I wouldn't get rid of Backlot. I think that if Backlot were repaired, then it would still be a great ride. A la Kings Island, it still does not make any sense to me why other parks in the chain have that same ride, and yet all of the effects on that ride run correctly with the explosions and the helicopter and everything. Yet our version of Backlot doesn't run. Yes, our winter is more intense, but it just doesn't seem fair. But yes, Cratch-A-Wagon, that's the one that goes. It's an original ride, I get it, but it just seems a little bit tired to me, and that's a massive amount of space that can be used for a quite impressive flat ride that I do believe International Festival needs. International Festival needs a big ride in that section, and that's where Cratch-A-Wagon. I think I actually covered this in my future series, but I think this is more of a hindsight from that video. But yeah, Cratch-A-Wagon needs to go. There are so many great particularly that Mobius ride from Zamperla. If that was on that plot of land, think about how impressive that would look looking across from Medieval Fair. It would draw attention to itself. I'm not saying it would be that great of a ride experience in the sense that it's not the most intense ride or a thrill ride for any stretch of the imagination, but thematically it would fit in there perfectly. I think, and also trying to think of another ride that could go in there. To be honest, if I was going to be very adventurous, you could put a power wave in that section across the front side of the lake or back side of the lake from where Medieval Fair is, and build into that Cratch-A-Wagon space. And there you go. Another huge attraction for Wonderland. The sight line of Wonder Mountain from there, I'm not so sure if people would like Wonder Mountain being blocked by one of those big giant U-shaped tracks. But Wonderland is still a thrill ride park, and I think that would be an excellent addition. And they need more water rides at Wonderland. That's another thing that they're trying to get covered there. So yeah, Cratch-A-Wagon's probably going to be my automatic vote. I'm not going to say Timberwolf. I'm not going to say Whitewater Canyon. Skyhawk is not my favorite ride for sure, but I don't see that going anywhere anytime soon. I'd much rather, and it's too late to do it, but in my future series I said that I would have rather have gotten rid of International Stage and kept Kingswood, and maybe them worked on making that a little bit more of a better offering for their events. But that's too late to wish for that now, because it's already happened. Kingswood is gone. So yeah, that's probably the one. I'd say Cratch-A-Wagon, because I don't want Wild Nightmares to go. And Dragonfire, it's like an icon to the park, and we got to keep it there as long as we can, because we love for those of us that love aero coasters, we don't want to lose any of them. And yeah, I don't want Dragonfire going anywhere anytime soon for sure. The go-karts are the other one, but I think that everybody kind of already thinks that that's going to be a thing that'll be gone soon. Definitely a wasted plot of land, other than for Waits for Halloween Haunt. So yeah, the go-karts ought to go, that's for sure. Let's get to the questions here, because I know I've shocked B-Man with my answer, but I'm sticking to it. I'm rolling through other options here, and I just don't see anything else that really for space and to actually make sense as far as a new attraction is concerned. It's got to be Cratch-A-Wagon. That's it. It's got to go at some point. It's a beautiful plot of land that's underused. Yes, it's an original fixture to the park. I've said this a billion times, but you know, it is what it is. Backlot needs to have the fire effects back when it was Italian Job. As I've covered, yes, it's still running at other parks that way, so why is it not actually happening here? Speaking of Whitewater Canyon, what the heck? No more dipping water at the tunnel. Yeah, I don't even need to finish reading this before I can just totally agree with what's being said here. It needs serious help. Used to work, and there it's gone downhill. The waterfall doesn't work. Whitewater Canyon is one of the most beautiful, naturally placed rapids rides in a theme park, I'd say. It's a gorgeous ride. It fits its theming perfectly. Everything the brush that's grown around it is incredible. It's just the complete look and complete package, except for the fact that it doesn't run properly. Like none of the effects or none of the water effects are actually running. The only effect you really get on that ride is, like, as per my last experience, when you jostle yourself a bit in the seat, you got people in the tower yelling at you to put your cell phone away that you don't even have out. So really it's like becoming Caddy Water Canyon, to make a bad joke. But yeah, it's really kind of like, yeah, it definitely needs some improvement and some updating. The cats are getting upset with my moody lighting or something. But yeah, I try to think of what else I haven't covered here. We've talked a lot about Wonderland. I've talked about my trip. Did I talk about the trip? Did I talk about the trip? Okay, we'll end with this. So at the end of April, we'll be going to a couple of parks, more than a couple that we haven't been to. Mainly to highlight the big one I talked about, Busch Gardens, and guess what? I've never been to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, another park of my obsessions over the years from when I was a young enthusiast. So I'll definitely be looking forward to getting on Pantheon in its warmer season, as the initial response from that attraction hasn't been incredible. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that and riding all the rides at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Man, to think that I had a chance to get on Drakenfire and also Big Bad Wolf and some other attractions that they've had over the years, it really brings a tear to my eye, and it's going to be a bittersweet trip being there. That compounded as well with King's Dominion, which I'll also be visiting. When I met El Toro Ryan at during a trip to Kings Island, he personally recommended Intimidator 305 to me. He said that is the perfect ride for you based on your tastes. So I'm so looking forward to getting on that for the first time ever, even if it is the second version of that ride and not the original Intense version. But either way, it still packs a huge punch from what people have been telling me. So I'm very looking forward to getting on that. Not so much on Tumbly. Those rides are, I've been on many. I think Arashi and Nagashima Spa Land will probably be my favorite ever S&S 4D spin ride, just because of the name of it. I just love the name. But yeah, looking forward to getting on Anaconda finally for the first time, because I feel like that coaster's days are numbered as well, among many other rides there that I'm looking forward to for sure. In addition to that, I'm going to be making it to American Dream Mall for the first time to try out all the attractions, including Shellraiser and all that stuff. Should be an awesome time. And finally, Great Adventure, which I alluded to earlier, because I've never been on El Toro. In fact, it's been the last time that I was at Great Adventure, Great American Scream Machine was open. That's all I got to say. So it's been a while. In fact, the last time I was at Great Adventure, Viper was open. So you can imagine how long it's been since I've been there. So yeah, it's going to be a great time once I get there to try that out. All right, guys. Well, it's been quite an epic video. Maybe we'll do another one of these, as it's been a great chat. And obviously, I have no shortage of opinions and agreements with a lot of you in regards to what we should be doing with Wonderland. So when Wonderland does finally reopen, maybe I'll do another one of these to sort of touch base on how we feel the park is going and its impressions over the next couple of years, and hopefully successful ones. But besides that, we'll have a lot more exciting content coming that I'm going to be sharing with you in many different ways with a much faster system, happily, so I can punch out those videos to you guys much quicker than I have been in the past. All right, we almost hit an hour and a half. I should probably, I'll just hold tight to see if anybody has any random questions before I go, because I have a coffee to finish and then I got a show to check out for the first time since the pandemic started. So yeah, whether or not I'm gonna go, I should cover in this trip that I'm going to, I'm not gonna hit some big parks that I'm just gonna be passing by, including Hershey Park, Nobles, Dorney Park, which I am planning on doing on a separate trip, as I definitely want to spend the whole day there. I want to get to Hershey Park when it has one of those crazy 14-hour days, so I can do everything I possibly can, because I've not been there before, shockingly enough. Dollywood is also, Dollywood and Silver Dollar City are those two parks that are always just knocking on my back or my shoulder and being like, hey, don't forget about us, but they're so hard to get to sometimes as far as like geographically where they are. Top 10 of flats, 10 coasters, and then combine the two into a top 10 overall. Well, I've done a top 10 coasters video about 2 years ago. It did not, it took a lot of work to put together. And it just didn't really fly that much. And I'm kind of getting to the point, and I kind of agree with Sean Flaherty, probably one of the best coaster enthusiasts out there, and his perspective of, you know, when you get to a point when you've ridden a lot of coasters, and even though I still would say Ejinaika is my favorite coaster of all time, the reason why that's my favorite coaster of all time is because of the personal experience I had on it on my last ride in the park that day. The gates had closed. The ride ops were like, oh, we recognize your accent clearly and you're not from here. Come on in, you can come and ride. Because I like literally ran across the park as fast as I could to get from Dododampa to that ride in just the nick of time. It was complete. It was a completely clear sky night with amazing stars, and just like, it was an incredible ride. I probably will never have a better ride on a roller coaster than I had in that particular last experience on Ejinaika at Fuji Q. But to compare that to other coasters like Fury, which in my video I did rank as #1, but then in hindsight it's kind of been all over the map, and I've been like, Steel Vengeance is kind of good, but you know, if it wasn't for like one experience, it probably would have been better. I rode it on a very foggy, misty day like we're having right now. It gets to the point where you're just constantly, you know, changing your #1s and your top 10s. And, you know, Velocicoaster, having rode it 5 times in that first experience just in October, it's still, for some reason, I left the park thinking, you know what? I kind of like Hagrid's a bit better than Velocicoaster. And I like Terran way better than Velocicoaster. And so many other rides. So as much as I wanted to say top 10 coaster, it really wasn't a top 10 coaster for me. Yeah, it's a hard business when you get into the recommendations of your top 10s. And I've obviously been on a lot of rides now, so I certainly have many that can compete for that category. But like, you know, I've got an interesting outlook on certain rides. So like Mystic Timbers is in my top 10 and still probably will be until I ride it, maybe El Toro or a wood coaster that's comparable or better than what that experience is like for me. Because it's just great for me. I love low-lying CCIs or GCIs where they basically prioritize speed over big hills. I love Tatsu, and a lot of people don't like flying coasters, but I still thought that was an amazing ride. Flying Dinosaur is definitely in the top 5 for me. And again, another flying coaster that people don't really, people just don't generally like flying coasters. So yeah, it's hard. I definitely am interested in the flats idea though, in a top 10 flats. Maybe in a bigger retrospect of all time, incorporating some of those older rides that no longer are with us, that I can kind of slip into a new or a top 10 of overall ever rides period, or maybe top 10 roller coaster experiences of all time. That's maybe something that has more of a story behind it, and I can add a little bit more of an interesting touch on the video. When a video doesn't get more than 100 views over 2 years, it's hard to really do another one because I guess, like, you know, there's just not the viewership for it. If that changes, maybe I should do another one and just relook at it. But there's so many of these sort of narrative-based ones that I want to punch out in the more near future, including, which I should probably conclude on this. I have another big documentary planned for. Sure, that sounds like a good one. Yes, I want to do a documentary on a particular era of my youth, where wood coasters dominated the thrill park or theme park industry. The War of the Woodies. That is a definite video coming up very soon. Texas Giant, the original Rattler, Mean Streak, a lot of wood coasters that have been legendary for being pain machines that weren't at the time of their opening and was really at the beginning of when I started getting into roller coasters. Look for a pretty big video based on that subject to come in the near future. I hope I get to Texas before then. I could get some coverage of, say, some of Six Flags Over Texas in order to include in that video. But here's hoping. I've mentioned a lot of trips, so I hope that, you know, that actually comes to pass. But any way it happens, I hope you guys enjoy the videos coming up in the next couple months, because there's going to be certainly a lot of them, a lot of documentaries leading into the season to get our appetite wet for the theme park year, because I'm looking forward to it. I will say to any fans that are looking forward to meeting me at parks in the near future that I am going to be taking advantage. Last question, if you could pick one ride to come back to the CNE, what would it be? I think I already mentioned that with the ghost trains, because I definitely would like more ghost trains back. But let's not kid ourselves. It's a pretty easy answer because of the videos that I have on here, and that's the Schwarzkopf Doppellooping. That's the ride I would want back over anything else. That was the most incredible and probably like my gateway coaster when I was a kid to get me. I rode that ride before I rode Dragonfire and any of the bigger rides at Wonderland. And in hindsight, it's way more intense than Dragonfire ever is. So yeah, it's Doppellooping. The Schwarzkopfs, I love them to death. They're just like the best rides. When I go to Busch Gardens in Tampa, Scorpion being a small ride, it's still just, it's always a great ride. It's one of the best. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for the shout out there, Game Freak, B-Man, and everyone, including Philippe, that has chimed in on the channel during this chat. As I was saying, looking forward to the weekday visits at Wonderland this year. So if you think you can, you have the time, yes, that's where you can catch me, because I'm going to be there a lot in the early part of the season during those times where we can just do re-ride after re-ride. I'll have time to chat. I'm not going to be vlogging this year, so in hindsight, like, I've been all about like content, just get all the coverage, and unfortunately haven't had enough time to cover just meeting people. So that's coming this year, guys. So definitely enjoy it. Have a great night, and we'll see you in the parks very soon. All right, guys, have a good night. One more for the road.